Okay, everybody, welcome to our live Monday church service. It's the 13th of September. Uh,
Monday the 13th.
Monday the 13th of September. Today was the first day of school here in the local school district. We had a little bit of a delay last week, but in this house we had 2 elementary kids, 1 junior high schooler, and 2 first year in high school. And Mommy and Daddy got to stay home with the dog, who was really sad.
She missed the kids.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. We're joined here. Well, before I say that, it's
All day.
thank you to Restream for allowing me to broadcast this service to Facebook, to Twitter, to Twitch, and to YouTube all at the same time. This is Scriptural Salvation Baptist Tabernacle. My name is Andy. To my left, we have Steve and Paul. We have Richard on the floor. We have Grace on my right. And then off camera a little bit, we have Jacob, Hannah, and my wife, Liz. I know that for the past couple of weeks, I've mentioned a friend of mine. I didn't give much details, but other than this person was in the hospital. Her name was Ashley Crowfoot, and she passed away yesterday. She was sick for quite a while and in the hospital, and her parents took her off life support yesterday. Her family took her off life support yesterday.
Did they have to do it?
Yes, it was a choice. It was a choice they made to let her go. So I had a friend who passed away yesterday. I've been following her entire journey through the hospital. I remember her first Facebook post saying that she wasn't feeling that great and she was going to get checked up, and it's been a downhill spiral ever since. I'm going to hurry up and get this going, though, because, it was the first day of school, but in less than an hour and a half, Grace has her first dance class. Jacob has marching band tonight. So we're going to get this party started. I would like to start off with a song called Here I Am to Worship.
This chapter should probably be quick.
No.
All right. It's another one of those short chapters, yes.
Okay.
Steve, you want to sing this song?
Light of the world, you step down into darkness. Open my eyes, let me see.
It started in the middle, 10 seconds into the song, instead of giving me 10 seconds to get ready.
Wow.
So, all right.
That was pretty stupid.
All right, ready?
Light of the world, you step down into darkness. Open my eyes, let me see. Beauty that made this heart adore you. Hope of a life spent with you. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. King of all days, oh so highly exalted, glorious in heaven above. Only you came to the earth, you created all I'll never know how much it costs to see my sin upon that cross. I'll never know how much it costs to see my sin upon that cross. I'll never know how much it costs to see my sin upon that cross. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether loving, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. You're altogether loving, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me.
All right. And that was Here I Am to Worship. Trying to introduce everybody here to some new stuff. Maybe that I knew that you possibly didn't.
Yeah, wasn't it from that album?
That, yes. Yep. And we are going to get right into our lesson on Revelation. What lesson is it?
The 20th lesson of Book of Revelation.
20th Revelation. What chapter?
Chapter 21.
Okay, thank you.
21.
No.
All right. Yeah, Revelation lesson 20. So this is our 20th Revelation lesson on Revelation. Scriptural Salvation Baptist Tabernacle. My name is Andy. Welcome to my living room. Thank you for joining us for church.
Okay.
And we're going to start with a reading from Psalm 144. No, don't start jumping around yet. Okay. Yeah.
In my path.
Blessed be the Lord, my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. He is my steadfast love and my fortress, my stronghold and my deliverer, my shield, and he is. I take refuge to subdues peoples.
So close on subdues. I thought you were going to get it. That was good, though.
Mhm.
You ever see that word before?
Oh,
Probably not.
Probably not.
No. Oh, Lord, what is man that you regard him, or the Son of Man that you think of him?
Man is like a breath. His days are like a passing shadow. Bow your heavens, O Lord, and come down. Touch the mountains so that they smoke.
Smoke. Very good. Flash forth the lightning and scatter them. Send out your arrows and rout them.
Watch over the
Still.
door.
stretch out your hand from
Watch out for the door.
on high. Rescue me and deliver me from the many waters, from the hand of
Foreigners.
foreigners. Wolves
Who's
mouths speak lies, and wolves' right hand is a right hand of flesh.
falsehood.
Falsehood.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I will sing a new song to you, O God, upon a 10-stringed harp. I will play to you.
Two.
Who gives victory to kings? Who rescues David, his servant, from the cruel sword? Rescue me and deliver me from the hand of foreigners, whose mouths speak lies and whose right hand is false. It's kind of hard to see from right here.
May our sons in their youth be like plants full grown, our daughters like corner pillars cut for the structure of a palace.
May our
Granaries.
granaries be full, providing all kinds of produce.
Produce.
Produce. May our sheep bring forth 1,000 and 10,000 in our fields. May our cattle be heavy with young, suffering no mischief or failure in bearing. May there be no cry of
Distress.
in our streets.
Blessed are the people to whom such blessings fall. Blessed are the people whose God is the Lord. We are going to listen to Revelation 21. So 21st chapter of Revelation, verses 1 through 3.
Oh yeah, Daddy.
I got it, Paul. In case you didn't hear what I said, Revelation 21, verses 1 through 3 should be right there on the screen.
Oh yeah, chapter 21.
All right.
And now it's time for our favorite
Revelation
reader.
21.
Oh, Daddy.
Then I saw
Sure.
a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them as their God.
Guess what I forgot to put on the screen?
Sharing.
Yeah, I forgot to put the
Nice
scripture verse up
one.
there.
Nice one, Daddy.
So I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them as their God. Now, new heaven and new earth. So the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. So this is a reset. We have gone through all of the tribulation, all of the bad things, all the judgments, the wars, the famines, the destruction. We get to the end, and God Almighty says, well, you know what? It's time for a reset. We're going to take everything, and we're going to do it all over. I'm going to start from the beginning. But the day of the Lord will come like a thief, and then the heavens will pass away with a roar, and the heavenly bodies will be burned up and dissolved, and the earth and the works that are done on it will be exposed. That comes to us from 2 Peter 3:10, and that tells us that when Jesus comes back and takes all the believers, that there's going to be what we just talked about, the first heaven and the first earth having a reset. The heavenly bodies will be burned up, and the earth and the works that are done on it there won't be any more. So why a new earth is the question that is asked. Now, the earth right now is 2/3 water, and what is left of the land is wasteland. You think of deserts and Siberian wastes and impenetrable rainforests and just places that people can't live, overcrowding, and places that really weren't designed for people to live, but people have decided they're going to live there anyway, and they toil and they have trouble living on the land. That is what the earth is like right now. So a new earth, more than likely, would be to make space and be perfect. It's a complete start over from the imperfect earth that we have now, with water and wasteland and unusable space, to the perfect earth that God will bring down. Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am you may be also. Now this is Jesus speaking. He's speaking to the disciples in John chapter 14, verses 1 through 3. John is also the disciple who's writing the book of Revelation. Now, Jesus says, in my Father's house there are many rooms. When Jesus is talking about his Father's house, he's talking about heaven. Now, there's one of the old translations of the Bible, the King James Bible, you will hear many people say, in my Father's house are many mansions. They mistranslated a word. So you'll see a lot of people going around saying, my Father's house there are many mansions. I've never seen a house that had a mansion inside of it. So I'm just going to go with this was probably a mistake. It should have been many rooms. Inconsequential, but this is that same verse. If you hear somebody that sticks strictly to the King James Version of the Bible, you hear them talking about, in my Father's house are many mansions. And Jesus says he's going to prepare a place for us. Well, he's been preparing this place since he was crucified in the year 33. So he's had a long time to get these many, many rooms for us ready. So the actual earth itself, imperfect as it is right now, with wastelands and water and mountains and deserts, God built all of it in 6 days. But Jesus, to prepare this new earth, the place that we're going to go and live the rest of our lives, Jesus has had 2,000 years to prepare for this. So I can't wait to see what this is going to be like. But then you ask the question, why a new heaven? Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them as their God. Now, in heaven, right now, God has told us that there is a heavenly temple up there. And the first temple and tabernacle that were built on earth were built in the same mold as the temple in heaven. Well, God didn't want there to be a temple. He wanted to live with man so that they didn't have to go through a temple to worship. So in the future heaven, the temple will be God himself on earth living with us. And that is tabernacle being dwelling place. God will be right there with us. Now we will listen to verses 4 through 8 of Revelation 21.
Now it's time for a fruit reader.
All right. Let's see. Share this. I will share the link. 21, 4 through 8. I hope. Yep. 4 through 8. And
He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more. The former things have passed away. And he who was seated on the throne said, Behold, I am making all things new. Also he said, Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true. And he said to me, It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty I will give from the spring of the water of life without payment. The one who conquers will have this heritage, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, as for murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death.
okay. Okay. So in this new heaven and new earth, all of the tears that anybody has ever cried will be wiped away. There will be no more death, no more mourning, no more crying, no more sadness, and no more pain. The things that we suffer here on earth are temporary here to earth. We were given this short life on earth to toil through and struggle, but we're not here for a long time. When you think of the thousands of years that God himself has existed, if you live to be 70, 80, 90, 100 years old, that's still a fraction of how long you will live here in heaven and be perfect. And you don't have to worry about your friends dying of cancer or having lung problems and ending up in the hospital, or there's going to be no more accidents and dying on motorcycles and cars, and it's not going to exist anymore. God will take all those tears that we cry because of those things, and we're going to forget about them. We're not going to have to worry about it anymore. We're not going to live through it anymore. God says, I'm the Alpha and the Omega. So here's Alpha, little thing here. Normally when the Greeks wrote the letter Alpha, it looked like a fish. So if you've ever seen something, they call it the Alpha fish, that's a sign for Jesus. It was this. It's the letter Alpha being the beginning. Alpha is the first letter of the Greek alphabet, and Omega is the last letter of the Greek alphabet. God here is reminding us that he was in the beginning, he's going to be there in the end, he's in between, he is timeless. God is the Alpha and the Omega. To the thirsty, I will give from the spring of water of life without payment. Those who want to believe and have life, so I'm going to use air quotes here, everlasting life or eternal life, those who are the believers, I'll call this group type 1. Now type 2 is the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, murderers, the sexually immoral, the sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars. This sums up all sinners. Now, recently we talked about Romans 10:9, where it says, confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, is how you get into heaven. Now, you don't have to be all of these things to be a sinner. You just don't believe. But all of these things live outside of God's law. They live in sin. So, does this list cover unbelievers? And the question is yes. The cowardly and the faithless. Anybody that does not believe in God and confess with their mouth, they are cowardly and they are faithless. They are cowardly to proclaim their belief and faithless to believe in their heart. Their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur. And as we learned in the last lesson, this isn't just you're thrown in there, you're burned up, and that's the end of it. It goes on and on and on, and it's eternal. You're going to get thrown into this lake, and you're going to suffer, and it's never going to end. But you'll have good company. There'll be a lot of people there that did that lived in sin and did not live good lives. And we'll move on to verses 9 through 14. 9 through 14. That work, Paul?
Yep.
I got it.
Then came one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls full of the 7 last plagues, and spoke to me, saying, Come, I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb. And he carried me away in the Spirit to a great high mountain, and showed me the holy city, Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, having the glory of God, its radiance like a most rare jewel, like a jasper, clear as crystal. It had a great high wall, with 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and on the gates the names of the 12 tribes of the sons of Israel were inscribed. On the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them were the 12 names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb.
Okay. So there's one other writer in the Bible that's given a vision of what this future heaven and earth will look like. And this writer is the writer Ezekiel. Now, we've come across Ezekiel before. We talked about the dry bones that came together, and that was the reforming of the nation Israel. And he also talked about a great battle where he described the world powers that would be involved that would start off the tribulation. Now, Ezekiel, later on in his book, is described what heaven would look like in 8 chapters. So that's a very detailed, very long explanation.
Oh,
John, here in Revelation, uses 15 verses. We get the very beginning of what it is. When he says it's coming down out of heaven, John is standing on a mountain. Now, in contrast, so was Ezekiel. Ezekiel saw heaven coming down, and he was standing up on a mountain. He was looking at it. And so was John. And it was radiant, and it was shining, and it was brilliant. It was beautiful. It was the shining, shining, shining city. It had a great high wall with 12 gates. So why does heaven have a gate? The short answer, exclusivity. Not everybody is allowed inside. If you're a sinner and you don't believe that God is your Savior and confess Him with your mouth, you're not going to get in. That's the short answer. So they put gates out there because heaven is available to all, but not everyone accepts it. So when we go back to the two kinds of people, either you're a believer or you're not, the believers get to go in, the unbelievers don't. Yes. So when there's says that, well, I've heard people try to make the argument, well, heaven is perfect and it shouldn't have a gate. Everybody should be allowed in. Well, that's not how God works.
Nope.
God believes that if God cannot abide by sin, He does not. He can't coexist with sin anywhere near Him. And anybody that's been a sinner and is living in sin and has not confessed their sin can't come into heaven. So the reason why there are gates is to show that there are limits to get in. The 12 gates have the name of the 12 tribes of Israel and 12 foundations of the city. So if you think of a foundation, you'd be standing on the sidewalk and you'd look down and you'd see 12 different layers of foundation that the city is built on. And each foundation has one of the names of the 12 apostles on it. 12 is Jesus' perfect administrative number. There are 12 tribes, 12 apostles, there are 12 calendar months. Or things that are multiplied by 12. When you have 24 elders, and you have 144 super witnesses, and 144,000 of the super witnesses Jews that go and preach at the beginning of the tribulation. So 12 is God's administrative number. We'll listen to 21 verses 15 through 21. 21, 15 through 21.
And the one who spoke with me had a measuring rod of gold to measure the city and its gates and walls. The city lies 4 square, its length the same as its width. And he measured with his rod 12,000 stadia. Its length and width and height are equal. He also measured its wall, 144 cubits by human measurement, which is also an angel's measurement. The wall was built of jasper, while the city was pure gold, clear as glass. The foundations of the wall of the city were adorned with every kind of jewel. The first was jasper, the second sapphire, the third agate, the fourth emerald, the fifth onyx, the sixth carnelian, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, the 11th jacinth, the 12th amethyst. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls, each of the gates made of a single pearl. And the street of the city was pure gold, transparent as glass.
All right. Back to here. Now it says that when they measured the city, it was 12,000 stadia long. Now one stadium is 607 feet. Is a Greek measurement. 12,000 stadia are 1,380 standard U.S. miles. So the city, going in both directions, is 1,380 miles. It's also 1,380 miles going up, so the city is cubed. It's huge. 1,380 miles is not a short distance.
No.
Like I said, it's a cubic city with 144 cubit walls. Now, 144 cubits is 216 feet. Some Bible scholars say that the 144 cubit walls means they're 144 cubits thick. I'm picturing a 216 foot thick wall. Most likely, I think it's 216 feet tall. I think the wall is.
Rhymed.
I did? Well, okay, thank you.
Tall and wall.
Oh.
Yeah, that's time to rhyme.
The city with 216 feet, I'm guessing tall wall. 144 cubit walls.
Ow.
The city with the 12 foundations. Now remember, like I said, you stand in the city and you look down, you can see each of the foundations, and it describes the different gemstones. They would all have a different color to them as you're looking down. Each city, each foundation made of a different precious stone. And these are the 12 foundation stones. Chrysoprase,
Sapphire.
sardonyx, jacinth,
Sardis. Topaz.
Sardius.
jade,
Sardius.
topaz, and amethyst. So you're standing on the street of the future city that is going to be your forever home in your immortal body, and you're going to look down, and each of the foundations is going to be a different color, like this. And you'll be able to see all the way down. And now think of how beautiful that would be. It would be very, very beautiful.
I'll be able to see the bottom.
Actually, there's scientific evidence that you would. And thank you to ChristianEvidence.net for putting that picture up there. And there's an article there on what I'm about to talk about next. Now, ChristianEvidence.net brought up, how come there are no diamonds or rubies? Because when you think of precious gemstones that cost a lot of money, a diamond and a ruby would be right up there on anyone's list. Well, it seems that in the last 100 years, they made a discovery that there are 16 gemstones in the world that are anisotropic, which means that when you shine light through them, pure light, it creates a spectrum. Diamonds and rubies are not them. The 12 gemstones that are in the foundations of the new heaven are. So when you shine pure light, now there's something pure light that they have for that this Christian Evidence had. When it's shone through all 12 of these, would make a beautiful light spectrum. So you're standing there and you look down, or, well, I'm wondering if the foundations would be out. I don't think so. Probably straight down. The light, the pure light, would shine straight through them and have this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful spectrum of different colors. Each of the gates, now when they talk about the pearly gates, a lot of people, I've seen pictures of the pearly gates and they show them with a bunch of pearls built into the gate, and that's not what was described here. It said one giant pearl, somewhere around 200 feet tall, because the walls were 216 feet tall.
Fair enough.
We've all heard of the streets of gold. Well, it says that these streets of gold are so pure, no impurities in them at all, that the gold is transparent like glass. So just picture how beautiful that would be. And we will now finish off with Revelation 21, verses 22 through 27. Okay, Revelation 21. 21, 20 through 2 through 27.
And I saw no temple in the city, for its temple is the Lord God the Almighty and the Lamb. And the city has no need of sun or moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it light, and its lamp is the Lamb. By its light will the nations walk, and the kings of the earth will bring their glory into it, and its gates will never be shut by day, and there will be no night there. They will bring into it the glory and the honor of the nations. But nothing unclean will ever enter it, nor anyone who does what is detestable or false, but only those who are written in the Lamb's book of life.
Pretty sure that is how, yep, that is our finale. Ezekiel calls this future city, future heaven, future Jerusalem, Yahweh Shammah. In Hebrew, that translates to God is there, and it meaning His presence. So God's presence is there. He will be there with us. There's no temple in future heaven, future earth, because the Father will be there with us. The original plan in the Garden of Eden for Adam and Eve was for God to live there with them and for everything to be perfect. And it takes all these years of human history to get back to that, where God is there with us, Yahweh Shammah. There's no sun or moon. It's not necessary. God will be in the city with us. And when we talk about the pure light that's needed to shine through these gemstones, I'm pretty sure God can come up with some pure light to shine from Him. Our dog is needing to be itching, so she's twisting around and kicking her legs. Dog. Just remember that God is unfathomable. You can't imagine just how amazing He is. He can be everywhere at once. And He will be there with us. Yahweh Shammah. And its gates will never shut by day. So that's just to show us that the gates and wall in heaven, it's not a defensive structure. It's not to withstand a siege. It's because heaven is an exclusive place. It's not a country club. Not everybody can get in. It's more of a battleship. But nothing unclean will ever enter it. God is perfect. Sin is not. So when it comes to this future city, future heaven, only the believers and those that have given their lives to Christ will be there, and everything will be perfect. Everything imperfect will be kept away. Only the saved believers will be allowed in. And that is what I have to say about Yahweh Shammah.
Can I learn about sin?
Yeah. Oh, you missed me? Oh, and the dog made her way over.
Yes, it's a math term. That's what it is.
Steve, you are present, a doggy. I also missed that gems
Okay.
again.
And now
What the heck?
we will finish off with one last song called God of Wonders.
I already know.
Children. All right.
Spears now on camera.
Heavens are your tabernacle. Glory to the Lord on high. God of wonders beyond our galaxy. You are holy, holy. The universe declares your majesty. You are holy, holy. Lord of heaven and earth. Lord of heaven and earth. Early in the morning, I will celebrate the light. When I stumble in the darkness, I will call your name by night. God of wonders beyond our galaxy. You are holy, holy. The universe displays your majesty. You are holy, holy. Lord of heaven and earth. Lord of heaven and earth. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Lord of heaven and earth. Hallelujah. Lord of heaven and earth. Hallelujah. Lord of heaven and earth. Beyond our galaxy, you are holy, holy. The universe declares your majesty. You are holy, holy. Precious Lord, reveal your heart to me. Father, hold me, hold me. The universe declares your majesty. You are holy, holy. Oh God of wonders beyond our galaxy. You are holy, holy. The universe declares your majesty. You are holy, holy. You are holy, holy. Hallelujah. Lord of heaven and earth. Hallelujah. Lord of heaven and earth. Hallelujah. Lord of heaven and earth. Hallelujah. Lord of heaven and earth.
Okay. And right there, I'd like like to thank you all for joining us, for learning about the future heaven and the future earth and how beautiful things will be and living there with God, Yahweh Shammah, in his presence. We're thankful that we could gather here, in the living room as a family for our first day of school. Most of you kids, I already had mine. I already did that. Steve did that a while before me. Hopefully the doggy gets used to you guys but not being here, right? She looked pretty sad, didn't she?
She's like, where did everyone go?
To anybody that's out there and they've lost people recently, you are not alone. Life here is only temporary. It's short. It's toil. It's trouble, and it's painful. And this life, once it's over, we have a great future life to look forward to. And I hope that that vision of the new heaven, the new earth, the new Jerusalem gives us some hope for the future. We ask that you join us, be with us next week. Thank you to everybody that stayed through the whole thing. And we wanted to say God bless you this week. And
Goodbye!